hopefully. We'll see if this works. Let me see. Is anybody showing up over here? I'm going to kill this other one. I'm going to delete this last one. So give me 1 second. Delete forever. Die. All right. Now we're going to go to this one. Make sure I see people in here. Toby1, can you hear me? Is the video okay? It's better? Okay, sweet. All right, there we go. We're back on track. All right, so hopefully I killed the other stream and deleted it, so hopefully everybody's coming back in under this one. Sorry about the issue. I've never had it where my VPN is open and I can't see reference to that. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. Let's go back over. Let's see, U.S. economy. All right, good. All right, we're working. We're back. So anyway, yeah, we got the government shutdown hopefully coming to an end today. The Senate's going to be voting on it. It looks like we have enough Democrats in agreement that have crossed the line. Not a lot in the way of concessions, granted. There is going to be a vote for the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare, basically. No promises of actually voting yes on it, but again, at least voting on it. And then, again, funding some other basic programs between now and the end of 2026, just so that they don't have to fight over those again. But I think it's a win all in all. We didn't give any money to illegal immigrants for healthcare. So I think we're doing the right things. Morning, remember, I called this recovery to the day last week. Good job, Poli. Good job. All right, let's roll through U.S. economy here real quick, and then I'll keep an eye on what's going on both on Fox Business and CNBC, and if anything interesting comes up, we'll pull it up. We'll also probably be looking at Tom Lee's Fund Strat, FS Insight, to see if there's anything interesting that they've been talking about. I'll wait a little bit, though. Sometimes videos come in a little late in the morning on that. Thoughts on ETHZilla? I don't know, man. I struggle. I'm not interested in getting into any 2X funds, and BM&R is crushing it. Over the last 2 days, it's going to be up 15%, and I love that for people that are invested in it. But ASST is up about 10, 11 over that same period of time, so I am happy with that. I don't like the 2X funds. This cycle does appear to be extending. Yeah, it's an old school Atari shirt, I know. But much simpler times back then, my friend. Much simpler times. Just riding my bike down the back of the alley and having a good time playing on Atari with Pong and a couple of little bars and some things going back and forth. Asteroids was a pain in the ass, though. But so I think this cycle is going to end up being extended. I don't know about the timing. I don't really want to dick around with options at this stage. I'm just going to ride this up with what I'm positioned in right now, and stay away from 2X plays, and we'll see if we get an altcoin rally. I want to look at some charts with that too. It's been absolutely decimated, the altcoin cycle right now. I saw Tom Nash is interviewing Tom Lee right now, literally right now. We probably won't watch that whole thing right now. Probably not, but we'll have to go back later on. We'll take some snippets of it at least. It looks like we have everybody too in chat this time. Liberals in Canada say it's a generational chance to invest. I think I'll eat. Yeah, dude, you don't want to invest in Canada. I mean, they're going to have to make a lot of changes if it's going to be a generational opportunity. Let's start off here, though. U.S. economy, Ryan Detrick, one of our favorites, says shake and bake. Friday's reversal could be a bullish development. S&P 500 down greater than 1%, but closes higher and breaks above the 50-day moving average, but closes above. Since 1980, that's happened 26 times with well above average returns going out a year. So that's a good sign. I also wanted to talk about this because a lot of people were talking about mortgages. We'll touch on that briefly. But illegal immigration is a huge part of that equation. It's a huge part of inflation. It's a huge part of making mortgages more affordable, not just for mortgages for people that might be illegal immigrants that are trying to get a house, which I do think is possible. I don't know how prevalent it is, and I don't have good data on it. But it's also rental properties. They're consuming all the rental properties. When you look right here, these are kind of crazy numbers. Estimated population of undocumented immigrants. Los Angeles, 1 million. Dallas, Texas, 475,000. Houston, 575,000. New York, 1.15 million. So you can see why if you can get an ID without being an actual citizen, and and or if you don't have your ID, you just sign a piece of paper saying that was you. You can see how voting can be manipulated in states that are sanctuaries like Chicago, or I should say cities that are sanctuaries like Chicago. And then again, places like Denver, Colorado, New York City, Los Angeles, and many more. You can see how they can manipulate votes and cheat, but you can also see how they're dealing with higher rates of inflation for houses and rentals because of illegal immigration, causing a massive demand. But again, you're not building up the supply for it. We didn't even know the numbers of people that were coming in. And so it's just a mess. But if we want to help bring down the price of mortgages, deporting illegal immigrants is the way to do it. Right now, so far, we believe we've got over 2 million that voluntarily left. This is the official number. It could be lower than that. Maybe it's half that. I don't know. If it's half that, it's still a great number. If we pulled out 1 million people across the United States in the last 10 months that have self-deported and also been deported, that would still be a beautiful number because, again, it's just way less demand for consumer goods, for services. It just brings down the demand side of inflation. And again, it also helps with ensuring election integrity where we don't have a bunch of illegals that are getting incentivized by having free health care and their bills paid to vote Democrat. So these are things we have to fix. I think one of the key things that we have to do is removing illegal immigrants. Andreas Steno Larsen said, interesting that the new high-frequency employment measure by Truflation gets the same conclusion that I've been ranting for about 2 to 3 months. Employment is re-accelerating. So if you look over here, what he's saying is we saw the depths of job loss in June and then August, right around here, and now we're starting to accelerate up again. I do believe this to be true. I think that we know this also. We know foreign-born workers saw massive job loss, and we saw that U.S.-born workers were getting all the jobs. So I believe this is very much true. Even with the layoffs you're hearing about, we're seeing job growth. Let me check chat real quick. Stoney, Senate will vote later. Yes. What's your take on Upixi at this level? I don't know. Again, these are leveraged bets that Solana is going to do really good. Solana does look okay. We'll pull that up real quick. Ethereum, I think, looks even better. But, I mean, we did get, like my old problems, we had the descended testicle here on one side that's, I had 2 of them essentially over on this side. But this is similar. It gets heavy. It weighs down. And so, I mean, this is still within line. This isn't crazy. You wouldn't want to drop much further than what we did. You really wanted to stop there. If you didn't stop there on peak volumes, you were fucked. But we bounced hard off of it. We got above the 100 weekly moving average on Solana. And so you're looking at a leveraged bet with Upixi that you're hoping recovers and does really well. But we're going to look at other stuff just on how well the alts have done. And they've been pretty miserable this cycle, and talk through some of that. But if you think Solana's still going to do well and you think it's going to go up a bunch and you want to leverage bet on it, that could potentially make you some extra money. Great, you can do that. I like ASST more. I think CleanSpark's ready to bounce too. There's a lot of good news coming for CleanSpark. Again, CleanSpark, Mara, a lot of these minor-ish / pivoting to HPC plays I think are going to do well. Iron's up 6% in pre-market. Cypher's up 4.5. Bitfarms is up 6.3. Mara's up 4. CleanSpark's up 4.7. So I think these things can recover well from here and start to take off and go higher. Unfortunately for me with CleanSpark, I've got November 21st, I believe, calls. And so those probably aren't going to do well. Or maybe I'll get up just a little bit more and I'll be able to sell out of some of it. But I don't know how well they got to get back to 20 real fucking quick. So we'll see. The market could be really excited when we do get the official announcement that the government has reopened. That could be something that really ignites it. We'll have to see. All right, good luck. I hope it turns out for you on Sold, Mike. Steak and Eggs, MSTR buys 487 BTC. Hey, that's a decent chunk. That's better than what they've been doing. That's awesome to hear. MSTR is up 2.8% and pre-market after being up 2% last Friday. So, and they're hitting key support too above the 100 weekly moving average. That seems to be a theme. Ethereum too. I just want to jump into that real quick. So the SOFR is coming back down, which is good. That's just showing stress in the banking sector where people they can't borrow from do interbank lending. So they go to the repo and they try and borrow from that. But if we look here, let's just see. Probably drop from there. Probably do it on the daily. Really, if we want to get a better one. So I would say if we're looking here, maybe right about there. If you look here, we're trying to break back into this previous range and get above it for Ethereum. And that's a good thing, right? Like when you overshoot the range, you want to see a fake out. We got to the 200 daily moving average, hovered above it, kind of looked ugly, looked like it could actually, like it's basically, just rising and then getting ready to roll over again. But we didn't. We got a nice bounce over the weekend. I think the news about the government shutdown helped a ton with that. So I could see Ethereum doing well too. I'm just not going to take levered bets on these. I'm just not. I'm going to stick with what I have. I got a little bit of Solana. I'm going to keep it simple. I want to stay mostly in Bitcoin. I want to ride out this cycle. If I get to 10 million, I'll be happy. I don't want to add a bunch of risk right here. It's been a decent year for a lot of people. Not so much for me. I've had horrible timing. But for a lot of people, it's been a really good year. And we've got returns that are ridiculous. We're going to look at some charts about that too, where people in 2020 were sitting at 100, sub 100, I think for the median investment account, and now it's like in the 300s. We've had crazy bounces, man. Crazy bounces. And so you got a lot of people that are like 18 years old that they're like, look at me, I'm rich, bitch. I got better performance than you, and I don't even look at people that don't have 100% return this year. And you got a lot of cockiness and danger, I think, in regard to that. But with the government reopening and all these other things, and Bitcoin looking like it's at the bottom of a bear market in so many ways, it could all still turn out really, really well. But let's go through all of it. President, and I said inside of here, Sagar said, great graphic from the Wall Street Journal on the housing crisis. Home prices to buyer income ratio went sky high in 2021. It is barely budging this whole ball game. And so you can see that in 2008, we had home price to income ratio of a little over 5. We got all the way up to 5.5 on that one. And then now we're sitting right near that 5 level. I do think this is going to break down. You can tell by Trump, voicing the 50-year mortgage and Pulte, I think it's Pulte, the housing secretary, or Department of whatever his title is, the head of housing, was talking a lot over the weekend too about a lot of different things. I can see that they really want to bring down housing costs, and I think they're just going to throw everything at it, everything in the kitchen sink, and I think that's a good thing. Let me see here. My CleanSpark 30 expiring in December. Am I safe? Do you have December calls? I mean, maybe they did issue some later on, and I never saw them. If you got December, you're probably going to be safe. Kobayashi letter, the median value of U.S. consumer stock market investments has surpassed $300,000 for the first time in history. So here's what I was talking about. Investments include single stocks, mutual funds, and retirement accounts, such as 401ks or IRAs. This amount has more than tripled since April of 2020. Since March alone, the median value of these stock market investments has risen $100,000 or 50%. So that's the average. Meanwhile, equities now reflect a record 52% of U.S. household financial allocation, 5 percentage points up from where the dot-com bubble was. So what we can get out of this is that since the bottom of the COVID drop, which was pretty substantial, we had people sitting at around, 80,000 on average for median value of stock market investments. We're above 300,000 now. This is a pretty big leap over that period of time, and you can see where it kind of went parabolic from 2024 to into 2025, which is funny because over here is where I've made all my money, right? Total shop market, I'm making tons of money. Market goes up a bunch. I'm just like not doing great at all this year. It's funny how that works, but it's humbling, and that's probably a good thing. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, Trump announcing the $2,000 tariff dividend. I actually am super excited about this. I think this needs to happen. I think people like me, By the way, guys, Bitcoin 106,376, creeping up, looking good. I think people like me that are paying more in taxes, it's like what everybody's always wanted. Everybody always wanted a consumption tax. They didn't want to be taxed by their income. At least Republicans and libertarians, right? We want a consumption tax. If you're going to give us a fucking tax, give us a tax that where if we're, frugal with our money and spend it wisely, where we benefit. But if we're really just buying Ferraris and Lambos and whatever the fuck we want, we're paying the bill. And so that's kind of the way this works with the tariffs right now. The vast majority of the spending is through wealthier people like myself and businesses. And so they're paying the tariffs along with, again, potentially the people on the other end that are having to reduce prices in order to be able to sell their goods into the market because they're not as competitive as they once were. But this is good stuff. I want to pay those tariffs. I want the rich to pay those tariffs, and then I want that to be redistributed back to the lower half of society because we want to increase their wages, and this is a way of doing that. And we're gonna have to do something like this. And I said I made the wrong. I used the wrong wording in a post yesterday. I said socialism. I didn't mean socialism. We need social programs like this to help the bottom parts of society. We're not trying to redistribute all the wealth. What we're trying to do is trickle up economics, okay? Somebody talked about it trickling up, and I thought that was funny because it's kind of true. The richer cohorts are doing insanely well. Instead of taxing them directly, we're doing this consumption tax. And with that, they're giving back to the little guys. The little guys are going to spend more, and then it trickles up. 1 second. China Commerce Ministry look forward to U.S. continuing to work with China. I love that. It's nice hearing people talk nice to each other. Oh, my throat. I need a cough drop. I found out my nephew has strep. He lives with us. So now I'm starting to think that's why I've been sick and I haven't went to the doc yet. So my throat was fine earlier, but for some reason it's killing me right now. Maybe I'll have to do that too. Free market is the most social construct that exists. It's great. You're right. But the problem with the free market is that we will be crushing jobs in the future. I got a video I'll show in a little bit. It's got a fast food place where this guy pulls up and he's talking to an AI to order his food. And this is like happening now. So imagine every fast food place, you no longer talk to a person anymore. That job's gone for everyone in the United States and the world. And instead, you're going to be talking to AIs and they'll be doing order fulfillment. That's probably going to be a lot of every form of customer service on Earth, too. And then we've got Tesla replacing drivers in semis and cars and taxis all around the world. The transportation sector is going to get wiped out. You're going to see a lot of job loss, and you got to do something to offset that. You got to help the people that literally are struggling to find a job as unemployment ramps. If you don't want your society to tear apart, you have to make sure that people can be employed and or, like, again, some kind of citizen income, some kind of subsidy to make life a little less painful for the people who don't have a lot of wealth. Because the rich are getting richer, so we got to help everybody else. Jesse, love your thoughts on BMNR. Yeah, I mean, it looks good right now. Oh, my throat. See how long I make it this stream. I might have to go to the doc. It looks good now, right? We broke down over here after breaking down here and then fell under the 100, dropped a lot. We were down almost 78% from the high. And now, we bounced pretty good in a short period of time. I mean, I have the .618 at a 234% increase. That seems like a pretty good number if that hits. I think it could do all right. Again, it's still got Tom Lee behind it. Oh, sorry. My throat's just killing me here. You help people by educating them about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the hedge against job loss. It is, but even that doesn't matter. If you have no fucking income, you can't get Bitcoin. Like, right? If all you have are fucking bills, an unaffordable mortgage, an unaffordable car, and you lost your job, you don't have shit. Bitcoin doesn't save you. It saves people that have huge investments right now, but we have to worry about the bottom 30 to 40% of society. If they can't survive, we're fucked as a country. And that's something we have to think about. Anyway, on here, oh my God. On here, I was saying that this person was pointing out that these waves, U.S. inflation, then and now, U.S. consumer price index year over year, and it's showing in red 1967 to 1983, and it's kind of comparing us to that time frame arbitrarily. Money supply at new highs, I guess not arbitrarily. Money supply at new highs, dollar weakening, 7% fiscal deficit to GDP, big beautiful bill passed, Fed to lower rates, equal commodities index, 10% year over year. So what he's saying is he expects us to have a third wave of CPE inflation. I do think we'll end up having some. And somebody was talking about that earlier with Truflation, that we've ticked up. We're up to 2.52 right now, which isn't crazy higher than some of the peaks we were seeing over in like June. And I mean, it's higher than the average in August 31st and like over here. So again, we've kind of been in this range for a while. But you could see some ticks higher. But I do think that all in all, it's probably going to be lower. Actually, I want to check something real quick. But what I was saying in here is that if we're deporting illegals, like let's say 1 million got deported away, sure, we're going to have consumers spending more money, and that might inflate in the CPI in some areas. But then also, if you have 1 million less people looking for housing and rental, you're going to see, I think, still negative inflation. I think you'll see some kind of reductions. Let me go to Fundstrat. I'm going to see if I can get a cough drop. If I can't do this, I'm going to pull up YouTube TV for a second and just throw it to you guys because my throat is killing me. And I don't like it. Let's see. We'll look at EPS. It looks like they don't have a new video. Try to blow your nose. My nose is not bad. It's my throat that really hurts. 11 companies are reporting this week. Of the 452 that have reported so far, 90% of the S&P. Overall, 84% are beating by 6% median. 16% missing, negative 4% median. So these numbers got, I think, even better. This might have fell by 1%, but this went up by 1% over the last couple of weeks. So that's good stuff. Feel a little bit better. Kirby, Barack, price target is 550, 500 to 550 by the end of the year. What are we talking about? Hey, if you guys are answering the questions, this is fucking great. I appreciate it. But yeah, I could see something like that. I could see another wave. I don't think it's going to be near it's not anything like this. It's not going to look like this. It's going to look like this. So if we even see that. I wanted to show you some interesting charts. So this one's from Brad. He said, my favorite thing about this chart is the median homebuyer age rose from 39 in 2005 to 59 in 2025. 20 years over 20 years. So that's kind of insane when you think about it. The median homebuyer age went from 39 to 59. And so essentially, like he said, it's literally the same people buying the homes 2 decades later. There are a lot of people that own second homes that have a rental property that used them as income. There's just a ton of this. And it's not fair to the younger generations. Again, there's things that we have to do to roll over some of that wealth from generation to generation. You either get it from revolution or you get it from doing the right thing. We need to build up our stock market. We also need to build up our real economy. And then we need to transition some of this wealth over from one generation to another in whatever ways we can. And it will be a multitude of them. Ryan said, Tesla, CleanSpark, EOC, take me to the promised land. Yeah, EOC was up like 18.5%, I think, on Friday. I don't know what it's sitting at today. Let me check here. 19.42% on Friday, up 1% in pre-market today. There's a lot of things doing well. It looks like everything kind of picked up. We even have SWC up 23%. It got punished really bad, so it's nice to see that that's happening too. I got a feeling markets are going to do pretty good today. Let's look. Loss on crypto, WOA. So I'm half that pretty much, and a homeowner, I'm in good standing. Yeah, a lot of you guys that are on here are probably in much better standing than the other people in this world, especially in the U.S. here lately. There's nothing wrong with owning a second home. No, there isn't. There's nothing wrong with that at all. What I'm talking about is how disadvantaged the younger generation is. They're barely surviving, and they're having to live with other people, and they're doing whatever they can just to pay the bills and keep from being on the street. And that is a shitty place for them to be. Since the pandemic, the rich, people like me, people like maybe some of you, have done really well. People who own assets have done better. Like the other charts we were just looking at a minute ago, people are up like 300% plus in some cases from where they were at the depths of the pandemic. But these regular working folk, they don't have that. They haven't been feeling that benefit. Their wages are barely going up, and the cost of goods went up a lot. We have to help those people. We have to. Yeah, it's a K-shaped economy. We can't stand that. Like we can't allow that. We have to fix it. Brad had another one. Do I follow Brad? I'm going to follow Brad. You got to follow people that have good charts. This was, oh no, wait, was that it? No, that was it. Okay. This is just the chart. And again, so you can see first-time buyers, what they're starting. Look at this, guys. We went from 29 in 85 to still in the 30s in the 2008, 2010 range to 40. This is fucking ridiculous, man. These people are getting fucked. Thank God I have a bunch of money, because I would not want to have a job right now and just be struggling. I can hear it from so many people I know. My brother has this problem too. I feel bad for the working stiffs of today. Real quickly, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, one of his many videos that I love. This man is one of the main rock stars of this administration, probably in the top 5 at least. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Over the course of the next few years, we could take in trillions of dollars, George, but the real goal of the tariffs is to rebalance trade and make it more fair. Over time, and the president's goal is to bring back manufacturing to the U.S. For the past 2, 3, 4 decades, we've seen our manufacturing sector gutted. So what would happen over time is we would take in substantial money as factories come back to the U.S., as we're seeing now. I was just down in South Carolina at a rare earth magnet plant and a Boeing plant on Friday, and that's I believe 1,500 total new jobs. Tariff income will be substantial, but then that will rebalance. The goal here, George, is to rebalance trade, so tariff income will be substantial.
They have a strep test in the pharmacy. I never knew that. All right, I'm going to totally do that. Thank you, sir.
At the beginning, it will come down, and then domestic tax revenues will climb as corporate taxes go up and all these high-paying jobs are created.
He's 100% right. We have so much. There's so much good stuff coming, and if Andre Steno Larsen and Truflation are right about jobs starting to ramp up and us just starting to see that curve, think about what 2026 could look like. This is why I'm not fucking around with options, because we definitely have risk. There is risk out there. We could be at war with China soon. Like we have so much longer dated debt that has to be reissued at the long end of the curve. And I think what we're going to have to do over the short term is just turn those into treasuries issuance that just ends up being a lot of money pumping into markets. I think that's what we have to do over the short term. Could CPI end up going higher because of that? Maybe. If that happens, I'll just be buying more TLT out way into the future, into like 2028. But there's good things coming, man. There's a lot of business that's coming. There's a lot of revenue that's coming. There's good stuff. Mike says, Bessent and Rubio have been a pair of aces. Yeah, that's true. There's so many really good people, honestly, across this administration. They're amazing. Jim Bianco posted this one. I thought it was really telling. It says student loans on yellow are a problem in getting worthless degrees. So what he's saying here is you look at debt, and this is by age cohort. For 70 plus, people's debt are mostly mortgages and then like some credit card and then, HELOC and stuff. But it's mostly mortgage debt, right? You see that get a little less mortgagey and a little larger student loan in the 60s, the 50s is worse, the 40s. You could see the price increases in this fucking data. It's ridiculous, right? So 30s, now look 18 to 29. Look at what student loan debt ends up making. And don't get me wrong, these people haven't added credit cards yet. There's some natural progression there, but like 30 to 39 all the way up here, this is a good way of visualizing how horrific student loan debt has gotten. And this is also another reason why housing is unaffordable for these people. Because are you not able to hear? If anybody else isn't able to hear, please let me know. This is why housing is also unaffordable for younger kids right now, the 30s up, and even the 18 to 29 cohort, is because student loans are so fucking expensive. These guys don't have any money left over. They don't have any money left over. And then the mortgages have gotten a lot worse. So they're just fucked. I can't imagine being 18 right now. I was born in the 80s, man. Like, the opportunity that we had, or I'm sorry, 70s. My brain's not working. I was a small kid in the 80s. But the opportunity that we had from that time frame on, it's like I took that for granted. I didn't realize how great that opportunity was, because what the kids have to deal with right now is bullshit. And this is why I keep saying, like, we have to have social programs. Like, well, we should probably have something, like use these tariffs to feed that money back into the lower cohorts so that they can survive, and then start taking away government programs that are being abused while giving good people more money. We got to fix these problems. We got to have kids. We got to have, our youth should be out living life. They shouldn't be worried about ever having a relationship with anybody or ever having a kid their entire life because they're afraid of how much that would cost. That should not be happening. That is not how our society will thrive. We have to fix the generation that's coming out into this world right now. We have to fix things for them. We have no choice. SOFR is dropping like a stone. My Canadian brother from another mother, James, is talking about that, where the number's getting better again. We like that. And this is actually the yield for it, or the overnight financing rate. So you can see where it peaked at 4.5, and now it's down to 3.9. That's good. It's actually fallen pretty hard. Even if you go back here into like April, it's lower than all of that. So it's got, if anything, it's showing a massive release. Ramsey, you can even buy at a home strip. Yeah, I'll do that. That's awesome. Thank you guys for letting me know. Galaxy still aiming for a crypto pump into the end of the year so I can quit my job and explore the world. I hope you get it, dude. And I actually think, I don't know, I think the end of the year, maybe even to beginning of next year, could be really good. We know that November to April is like the best time to be invested in the market. So maybe we have some of those times where you're going to do really well. Fix the money, fix the world. We have to, dude. We have to embrace stable coins because we need people buying our treasuries. Embrace Bitcoin because we need a good decentralized store of value that cannot be, replicated at a faster rate. It only gets better every 4 years. And then at the same time, embrace growth while becoming more efficient as a government and as a country, and then help our kids. They deserve it. Jesse, have they finally bottomed on BTC and overall markets? I think so. Honestly, I think we talked about it last week. There's so many things that were headwinds that are now turning into tailwinds behind us, right? The government reopening, if that happens today, the TGA opens up, spending starts again. You're going to get a ramp from all of that. And we just got a lot of wins behind the scenes that we've been pushing that are going to be building up over time and doing really well. And you got AI too, is just crushing it. You got earnings at record levels. We'll talk about that too in some of these charts. Like, there's so many good things. I like this too. I want to read this real quick. Gunther, what the hell is going on? So let's get this straight. The President of the United States is allowed and fully approved by Congress to stop all trade with a foreign country, which is far more onerous than a tariff. So yeah, why can we just stop all trade with a foreign country, but a president can't invoke tariffs? Doesn't make any sense. He put and license a foreign country, but is not allowed to put a simple tariff on a foreign country, even for purposes of national security. That is not what our great founders had in mind. This whole thing is ridiculous. Other countries can tariff us, but we can't tariff them, question mark. It's their dream. Businesses are pouring into the USA only because of tariffs. Has the United States Supreme Court not been told this? What the hell is going on? So to be clear, Trump has a backup plan where even if this doesn't go well and we don't get Supreme Court approval, we're taking other steps. And I think that's going to be the filibuster, but we'll see. I know he's working those senators hard, man. And over the weekend, I mean, the reason why I think this ended is partially because, again, Mamdani won, and so that's helpful. But I think it was because John Thune made everybody work over the weekend, and they don't want to fucking work. So it helped people figure out, hey, maybe we should resolve our differences, and I think that's a good thing. Let's see. As long earnings, Michael says, as long as earnings crush the way they just did, they're amazing. Yeah, this bull market is alive and everything else is noise. I think as long as liquidity remains across markets, and it looks like it's probably picking up in the United States, we know it's heavy in China. I'll show you charts showing that. I think things are going to be good. I put pulling rates down is going to be one of the most important metrics to resolve housing affordability. You can see the housing bubble. This is a U.S. mortgage cost as a percentage of household income. So we kind of looked at that in other ways a minute ago. But you can see here the housing bubble in 2006, 38.5%. You can see in 1981, 18% mortgage rates. 18% mortgage rates at that time, 48%, right? Well, we got up pretty high too, but prices were also inflating. So we're not 18% mortgages, but we're in a rough spot. And it makes sense that this is going to roll over and go lower, and the government has every incentive to do that because our own debt looks fucking horrific. Why are we not investing heavily into solar? I think we're going to. I think that'll actually be something that Trump flips on. I want to read this real quick because, again, people with a 50-year mortgage talk, I want them to think about mortgages differently, okay? So if you can get a mortgage, like let's say a 50-year that was even in just 4% range, I think that's a great idea. Because again, the interest rate's lower, the place is probably going to be more affordable. If you're doing it over this spring, maybe into summer, the prices might be better because again, they've been falling basically on a national level over this last year to date, and you're going to be able to get a lot more house, but also. Like what he says here, a 30-year fixed mortgage is basically a long-dated call option on inflation. What does he mean by that? You borrow dollars today, lock in the rate, again, fixed rate, right? And repay in nominal terms. If inflation explodes higher, your debt basically in nominal terms becomes nothing while your house price soars. I think it'll have less of an impact on house prices in the future. I think Bitcoin and other vehicles will take more of that. I think it makes sense. It's more liquid of a market. But this is true, right? So when you're borrowing and you're leveraging that debt, if you're doing 20% down, you're getting 5x the debt that can just disappear, but again, is stored as value in the house. And then over that 50 years, if there's way too much money printing that's been done, you would have so much wealth in your house. So again, you get to benefit from this. So people talking about the 50-year, fuck that. This, like, you're not even owning the place. They're just being stupid, and they don't actually understand how the world works, and that's actually really great insurance for them in the future, and that a lot of people have gained wealth from real estate because of that inflationary impact, not necessarily because it's the best vehicle for it. You don't know how big nuclear plants, the tech already is. Yeah. Nuclear plants are nuclear facilities, or they're like small buildings nowadays. Argentina has been bailed out by the International Monetary Fund 23 times since joining. Yeah, they got bailed out a ton of times. We gave them a swap line, and we gave them somewhat of a bailout, but we also are going to buy a bunch of their beef so that we can lower the costs here, which is actually really good for our society. I wanted to talk quickly about this. This is a post I did. I said if we want to make homes more affordable, we should probably throw everything we can at it, but with a focus on what matters the most. And so I said force rates lower. This is by far the easiest way to make housing more affordable over the short term, but many can speculate that this would just increase. So some people have said that this would increase home prices over time as well. And I said, but maybe that gets resolved with the following: deporting illegal immigrants. We talked about that. And also, I found this to be interesting, and I wanted to just share it with you. I said, this will become even more important as we see AI taking more and more jobs, adding to pressures at the bottom end of the economic spectrum. So corporations and LLCs owning multiple dwellings. So I actually found interesting data on this. I said the shocking part of this equation is that it's not megacorps that own all the homes. In fact, 89% of owners are with one or more dwellings are between the, or I should say, are between the 1 to 9 properties level. So it's actually the little guys, the Airbnbers probably and stuff like that. But Airbnb too, I said this includes some people who rent out via Airbnb, which currently makes up over 2 million properties. So there's 2 million properties that are Airbnb. They make up probably some of this number, but it's not the megacorps that actually own a lot of the properties. It's the little guys, which I found amazing. So we do need to have, I think, something where we start taxing more aggressively people that own a lot of extra properties in regard to single family. I think single family has to be better. Double H, thank you for the $6.99. Appreciate it, sir. I said this includes, I already did that part. I said maybe the solution would be to more heavily tax entities or individuals who own more than one property. Maybe there's an increased tax after 3 or more properties, more so than what exists today, ? My only concern here is that this could remove some of the incentive to build more housing, also lower home prices, and could reduce the spending power of owners who can borrow against that equity, which means 65% of people would lose spending power. So again, it's all a balance, right? Like if we invoke something like one of these rules and people start selling their places, you're going to increase inventory a lot, but that can have other effects. So we need to find the sweet happy medium where we still got builders building what we need for the future, and then at the same time, we're doing things to ensure that there's more inventory on the market in other ways, but there's also still a lot of demand. It's just all about balance. Anyway, I think that was. Oh yeah, as of late 2025, the total number of single families home owned by small LLCs and corporations and private equity firms in the U.S. it was estimated 17 million. So again, 2 million Airbnbs, but really this number is probably the biggest because they fall into this. 17 million homes where people own 1 to 9. I wish I had the figure for 2 to 9. But I put this encompasses roughly 20% of the nation's approximately 86 million single-family homes. So this is 1 out of 5. That seems like a big number, and it's definitely something we should work to fix. James saying TGA about to break 1 trillion, only time bigger during COVID-19. Treasury can't spend because of the shutdown. QT ends in December, 70 billion of buying power. Yeah, again, not only does the government shutdown coming to an end, but then at the end of November, that's when the quantitative tightening stops. And then not only will we have no quantitative tightening, I think we could actually end up seeing some stealth QE where we're doing buybacks and we're basically starting to add to our balance sheet again. I could totally see that. So we're gonna have a decent pump, I think, coming. What else we got here? Jen says the best beef anyone investing in American ranchers. Nope. Anthony, BTC recovering well. Yeah. Bottom is in. ? Yes, I think it is. Thomas, how to find undervalued stocks for 2026 and power, robotics, and AI. I mean, Tesla's like the easy button for that, but if you want better results, you could do different things. Trump just announced, again, this is the $2,000 dividend. She was saying the money is coming from tariff revenue. $1,300 is projected extra spending per household in 2025 versus 2024. So people are paying an extra $1,300 a piece for all their spending, but then they're getting a dividend of $2,000. That means we're getting back, she said, $1,450 or $1,480 if you're like just a couple. But again, if you're larger than that, if you're a family of 4, you're actually doing even better. So what she's saying here is not only are you getting refunded your tariffs, but at the same time, you're getting extra money. So you're better off than what you would have been. That we need to see more of this. This is again why I think this should maybe even be a monthly thing once we figure it out. And I already talked about this, but If a 50-year loan, it's going to obviously be like probably 50 bips higher unless they did something to structure it where the government's ensuring that it's backed. I think even home loan transfers, there's a lot of things we can do to make things better. And some people were bitching about the 50, but then they were saying we should do this. I love that. It's just more data for our government, who does a pretty good job listening to social media and listening to the right people, to be able to say, hey, why don't we do all these things? Let's see what we got here. That's from the 6th. We're going to skip it. Yeah, I think we're good here. We're done on the U.S. economy. Let's go to Bitcoin. I found a company that is raising its own here in Montana. Raising what? Sorry, I might have missed the conversation. Real quick, I'll probably go to AI and chips just super fast. Oh, thank you for the $9.99, friend. Appreciate it, Loss. Simplifying Stocks posted TSM delivers record revenue of $11.9 billion for October, growing 11% month over month. More proof that the AI trade is not done. And this is wild, guys. So again, I talked about this earlier, but you can see how people's jobs are going to go away. It's not everybody all at once, but there's definitely going to be pressure there.
Yeah, hi, I'm ready.
What can I get you?
Are you AI?
I'm Hungry Jack's virtual helper. How can I help you?
That's so cool. Okay, yeah, hi, can I get a large ultimate double whopper meal?
Did you want double whopper?
Yes, a large ultimate double whopper.
Sure. Is that with Coke?
Oh, God, no. Can I please get an orange juice with no ice?
Okay.
Can I also get a barbecue cheeseburger?
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Your total is $23.50. Please drive through.
Kind of a weird AI.
So scary.
So scary. But I mean, these things are going to, like, again, they're going to take all these jobs. It's going to be super easy to do. Yeah, everything's going up quite a bit. Again, we're in that good zone on Ethereum where we bounced up in that purple range. Solana's over 170. It looks good. All this looks good. It looks like we're rocking and rolling, man. I think a lot of people are going to make money today. So hopefully you didn't sell out of the market completely. I reduced my exposure to 2x funds. That's all I did. All right, Anthony, how much stimulus checks did USA receive during COVID? I don't remember the exact number, but everybody got them. So rich people, I wasn't even working a job. I was retired and I was doing pretty good, and I got the money, right? This time the dividends aren't going to be that way. It's going to be made for people that aren't like me, which is way smarter. Don't give rich people money when they already have plenty. Grab, I don't really pay attention to Grab, sorry. It's an area of the world where I don't know enough about it, and I'm not monitoring it enough to be able to know whether it's a good buy or not. I know they're all over, Southeast Asia, Singapore, all that stuff. Anthony, how much stimulus? Oh, that was you. Marco, Mitch. Someone said strep a while ago. It's actually very rare for adults to get strep throat infections. Oh, is it? Okay, maybe I don't then. Maybe it's just like my throat's just rough. From Winter. I'm definitely not as bad as he is. Loss on crypto. That one does give you creeps. McDonald needs help from Elon. I think all of these. I think AI is replacing everything, guys. Robots are going to replace everything. The need for a job is going to go away, but it's not a scary thing. It's going to have some speed bumps where we have to do things like, again, dividends that are probably monthly to help the poor out. That's just going to happen. Everybody's going to have to do some kind of socialist programs. There's just no way around it. But it can be good. It can be good. Time to jump in. Yeah, I mean, I should think you'd be jumped in right now. Victor said, 13 months. Awesome, man. Would make sense to hodl CleanSpark in a bear market. I would never. If you've made a lot of money, like if we get up into the 30s and 50s and you've done really good off of CleanSpark, maybe you got it in the 6s and you've made a 9x, I wouldn't do that. I don't know. It's hard to say though. I definitely want to spend more time listening to Mike Alfred. I missed his show this weekend on Sunday, but I'd like to listen to him more and make sure that I understand the energy demands and just how that is going to be impacted with these hyperscalers and just the Irons and the CleanSparks and the Maras and who's best positioned. I've done some Grok research with it. It was actually pretty enlightening. It definitely points at Iron being in the lead, but with out of all these companies by a decent amount. CleanSpark doesn't look too bad though, and there's a few others that look all right. But I don't know. Those rules might change where, as before, I would just be like, sell it. You shouldn't own it. But this time around, it just depends, right? If they actually have a real revenue and that demand isn't going away and it's only ramping and they've got low-cost solutions where they're making a lot of money and that, it's got to be proven. The contracts are just starting to come in now. But if they can prove that out and the demand just keeps growing and growing and growing, then you could end up doing really well. Mike believes ASST is going to 50. Oh, Mike Alfred. Yeah, he did say that. Again, I like what the company was built for, right? I like the fact that, Vivek and JD Vance and Peter Thiel and just all these guys were involved in the founding of it. And they were doing it to be basically the anti-BlackRock, where you don't have woke ESG bullshit. I love that. BitMine acquires 110,000 ETH over the past week, now owning 2.9% of the entire supply. I think their goal was 5, right? So it's not like they're done. All right, let's keep going. See if there's anything else here. Again, Grok update November 7th, so that's a few days ago. But just showing the improvement here is just ridiculous for reasoning and non-reasoning and just all the fast stuff and just how much quicker it's getting is awesome. That's probably it for now. Don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole. Let's go to Bitcoin. Remember me when you become a 9-figure guy, Jesse. I called it. Thanks, man. I will, ZA. That is the goal. Vijay put, I'm old enough to remember what happened to Bitcoin the last time the government started randomly sending checks to people. It went up a lot. Bitcoin Teddy shows that we're at a 3% adoption, and that is a steep curve. This is from River, just showing what an S-curve normally looks like. So again, we're heading into the ramp. We're looking at an acceleration over a longer time frame. Quentin said Bitcoin on exchanges is at levels not seen since 2018. Meanwhile, institutions like BlackRock and JP Morgan are buying. So again, if you look over here, it's going back to crazy time, man. Like this is a big drop. It's a precipitous drop. Unless Bitcoin on exchanges is seen as good because it means that you don't see people with a bunch of sell orders waiting to dump. Even though we do know that OGs, the really big guys, they have been selling. How long did it take you to go from 1 million to 10? I don't have 10 yet. I would love 10. What odds do you think BTC goes from 220? Tom Lee, from your account hitting 12 million. Oh, what are the odds do you think BTC goes to 200K this year in your account? Oh, if it goes to 200K, I've definitely done 12 million. I'll be sitting on 12 million. Because that means that the markets in general probably have a lot of irrational exuberance in them. And I do think that could happen. Again, it's just going to be the first half of the year, us having to basically refinance a bunch of debt as a government could be interesting. Also, we've seen that the market has done really well, but they might have that pause a little while to feed the actual economy. So I think you just have to be prepared for everything, and you have to not be thinking too short of a time frame. SWC, yeah, it's up 25%. I saw that Adam Webley, I saw the CEO liked my post when I said, what the hell's going on with SWC? It's up 33%. He liked that, but it's up 25%. You got to remember, this thing just got fucking slammed, though. It's still down 91%, guys, from where it was. This thing has been painful. I know for the amount I had invested, luckily I got out of a lot of the drop much earlier on, but like it sucked. Like it's still down a lot. So the part I do still have is not done well. It'll be easier to go from 10 million to 100 million than from 1 million to 10 million. Yeah, that's probably true. Even just getting to your first 100,000 is so much work. And then afterwards, that the percentage wise, the numbers just aren't as hard. And you have just a lot more free income. Why not go back into sold? I'm just not touching 2X funds. They're just not that efficient. And let's say for some reason that, like what I was talking about a second ago, let's say that we end up having weirdness. Maybe we have inflation concerns and now the market tanks. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the GDP looks good. The market goes up a little bit. Or maybe it's bad news that the GDP is good because inflation is high and we're growing and people, you could just see like narratives change. And again, the narrative was that this is the end of the year and Bitcoin's bull market should be coming to an end right now. But we don't see anything like that, right? We're seeing the exact fucking opposite of that. And instead, we're seeing a market where we have 30 different fucking indicators and none of them have triggered. And some of these aren't just like extreme irrational retail exuberance. These are a number of different ways to look at it. We see none of that. We see a social economic score of like 0. Retail isn't even in this bitch. And normally bull markets of any kind don't end with retail not paying attention to any of it. I think the AI narrative has stole a lot of what was happening in crypto. I think that there's some weird changes happen behind the scenes that, again, like the IPO moment, retail isn't really in this. Retail's been selling this. Retail got burned a lot in the past by all these fucking shitcoins. And so I think they're just kind of done. And retail, frankly, retail is like probably, I don't want to say the bottom 40%, but there's probably a lot of people that are in those cohorts that are like, this is my lottery ticket, and they're fucking broke. Give them $2,000 stimmies and they won't be. And then you'll see this bitch start to pump. And that's what's happening, right? So I think there's some really good tailwinds behind us now, guys. Really good tailwinds. Vivek said senators just reached a deal to end the U.S. government shutdown. This is showing the last time that happened. So just on what we were talking about earlier, we went from the 3s to the 12s. So again, we could have really good stuff. We could have some chop. I want to be prepared for both. And so that's what I think I am. And this is Adam talking about the 50-year mortgage too, and just saying, hey, yeah, but if you actually do the math and you look at the curve and you think about how this works, a 50-year mortgage might not be a bad idea. I talked about that social metric risk. There's nobody in this. It's actually kind of wild. It's bear market lows. It's been that way the whole way up. When you look at previous cycles, you can see where, social risk was really low when Bitcoin was like at $1,000. There weren't a lot of people that really cared about it until it shot up. Which one's the price? This one, the pink is the price, right? Price. No, that's the total risk score. But you can see how it shot up over here. And this technically is a lot. We went from 1,000 at the time up to about 1,400. So 40% in probably like a week or a month. And so you can see where this thing grows a lot. But this cycle has been non-existent. From the bottom, we haven't even gotten to that peak over here. It's just, there's none. There's none. Nobody cares about fucking shitcoins. Everybody's into the AI bros, or they're doing sports betting and Kashi or whatever that thing's called. Like, everybody's in different directions. And again, we're just not seeing any of this previous institutional setup. And right here, Quentin says 8 years of a bull market. So he said gold ran for 8 straight years post ETF. We definitely see nobody interested in Bitcoin. And altcoins are worse. But we see that structural bid of that gold got as an ETF. And so, again, I think we're elongating the market, and I think we're actually building it up and getting ready to ramp. But I don't know if there's going to be weirdness in the meantime. I feel like we're just like over here right now. I feel like we're over here, like just getting ready to ramp and getting ready to see that blow off top. And I don't know how long that takes. But then we also have liquidity that could be reduced significantly depending on how things are done in the springtime, because of what we have to do as a government. So it's going to be weird. Balaji's right about this, though. He said the S&P is up in nominal terms, flat in gold terms, and down in Bitcoin terms. So isn't this crazy? Like, since Bitcoin's inception, you could see the S&P performance in green. You could see the S&P 500 to gold performance here in yellow, basically showing it's flat. And then you can see the S&P to Bitcoin performance just destroyed. Didn't stand a chance against Bitcoin. And again, just so you guys know, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner where we're sitting, we did go ahead and cross that line. I had it yellow in here. It's now green in the bottom right corner because we broke through that. And that should act as support now. and we're looking to go higher. I'll just change that real quick. We're looking to go higher to that next stage, which again is around the 110,000 range. And we want to get back up to that, 110, 111, because once we get to that, we got peak volumes on the shorter time frame, and then we just want to keep going. But I think that's what's next. You can see that peak volume right here, and you can see the 200 moving average in the bottom right. That's what's next. So, and then once we go from there, then it's like to 118. So 110, 111, then 118. It's good stuff. We got Tom Lee saying he agrees with Coinbase Institutional that said October's sell-off wasn't the end of the cycle. It may have been the reset it needed. Excess leverage is flushed. Fundamentals remain intact. Institutional players are quietly rotating back in. We know that OGs are leaving, but we know whales are actually buying, at net buying. Smart money is clustering around EVM chains, RWAs, and yield protocols, pointing to selective re-risking, not retreat. Key takeaways: leverage is cleaner, but liquidity gaps remain. Capital is rotating, not entering. The selectivity remains critical. Macro risk lingers, but structural demand builds. So they're saying, again, kind of like I am, that we're like starting to ramp into something. But again, there's risks out there. Justin France considers a bill to acquire 2% of Bitcoin. That's from October 28th. We'll see if they end up doing a reserve. Quentin said retail is selling, but large investors are buying. And again, just another representation of that retail. I think this is CryptoQuant. Yeah, it is. In purple, going down. And really, it's been going down since like the beginning of this year. It started to plummet before the beginning of this year. Retail sold, and they haven't really gotten back in. Large investors, though, have been just buying and buying and buying. And James Wynn did get liquidated, which is good. This is another one from Quentin. This is a good one. So cumulative returns, top 50 Binance futures versus Bitcoin. So this is the top 50 shitcoins. Look at the cumulative returns for them. They barely went anywhere. And again, they, like, if you just look here, 2021, the two peaks, just huge returns in the top 50, right? For the things that were born. It's just like people are just done. And so I don't know how well we do in regard to that. I do think, though, that gold and Bitcoin ratio, let's look at that real quick. I don't even know if I have that pulled up. I might have to pull it up. I got gold right here. Gold looks like it's bottomed. Or maybe it gets rejected here. There is peak volume up here. I don't know, though. I'd say it looks like it's bottomed, and it's probably going to go higher. But let's look here real quick and see what the gold to Bitcoin ratio is. BTC to gold. Which one did I use last? Here we go. So let's see where we're sitting here. So we started to bounce up and find support. We still technically have it. We don't have it here. So let's just do this. I'll do this. And then this is just me showing where I think it's going to go. So now would be the time for Bitcoin to start popping and show like a W bottom on this, right? If we go to the 3-day, this would be the time to go up to here. And then we got like a W bottom that gets us up to here into the 32 range. And then it's just going to be more evident that Bitcoin's going to be the better trade out of the two. And again, this doesn't mean gold can't go higher. It just means that the performance of Bitcoin would be a lot higher than gold. I do think that's happening. Again, another one from Quentin. Bitcoin's 6-month volatility has never been lower. I mean, at least on this chart, right? Going back to 2017, it's never been lower. So this happens as you get older, but this is very dramatic. Very, very dramatic. It looks nothing like previous cycles. Most people don't see it until it happens. Bitcoin, what if this actually plays out? Yeah, see, this could totally be a thing. Again, get up to that 280,000. That's kind of what I was thinking the top would be. And then drop back down and establish it at the 70s. Well, the 70s is only like 30% lower than where we're at, so who really cares? Might as well hold out. We already talked about that one. I think that's good on that front. I'm going to jump into Trump here real quick and see what we got. Like I said earlier, all Republicans had to do to eliminate the shutdown was make Democrats work over the weekend. That does appear to be true. They didn't like it. We've got Tren de Aragua gang being arrested all the way in Hawaii. Hawaii, especially on Oahu, I think it is, where Honolulu is. There is a lot of just like really poor, like fucking homeless people, gangbanger types. It's weird. You don't expect that, but it's full of it. Doge is still working. So Doge just terminated 67 wasteful contracts worth $1.4 billion, including $456,000 for broadcasting services in South Sudan. So we're not done. We're still fixing it. We've got Stephen Miller saying you can't conceive of the deluge when the Democrats next gain power. Says top Biden State Department advisor who is from Somalia boasts about changing immigration rules to benefit Somalians during the Biden administration. He's right. They will do everything. They will kill the filibuster. They'll do everything. So we should do all those things now. Sol, BTC, ETH, which is your favorite? I like Bitcoin the most because I think it's the safest bet. Sol and ETH could outperform. Just because if we're hitting an actual altcoin cycle and now we're getting a lot of liquidity and we've got all these tailwinds behind us, we could do really well. I want to hear Alex Karp talk about fentanyl, giving fentanyl to Yale kids. I love Alex Karp.
By the way, let me say something slightly political, and I'm not saying other people agree with this, but when people are attacking our soldiers for stopping fentanyl from coming to this country, I want people to remember, if fentanyl was killing 60,000 Yale grads instead of 60,000 working class people, we'd be dropping a nuclear bomb on whoever was sending it from South America. So, it's slightly like we in this.
Isn't that so fucking true, though? If they were important enough people, we would care. But since they're nameless and they're not, we don't. That's pretty fucked up.
In this at Palantir, we are on the side of the average American who sometimes gets screwed because all the empathy goes to elite people and none of it goes to the people who are actually dying on our streets. And that's why, it's like when you have an open border, it means that the average poor American earns less. I know my fellow progressives believe having an open border is going to make things, but that's because they're actually repping elite people instead of the working class. And the same thing in South America, it's like, to believe our Constitution does not give us the right to stop 60,000 deaths a year of working class men and women is insane. And this country is right to stop that, and I am very proud. I don't know all the efforts we're involved in, but to the extent we're involved in these efforts, I and most Palantirians are very proud of this.
I love this, man. I don't know why I sold my stock so early. It was one of the stupidest investment decisions I ever made, going for the quick pick. Again, I made 600%. I was very excited. I'd done really well. Off of Meta and Tesla. I bought all those things at the absolute bottoms in 2022, and I got leaps, and I just did really well. But I really regret selling it. I should have held it. Such a great company. Archer 1 year leaps with new Fed in 5 months. Dude, I've got leaps going all the way out to 2028. That's what I was adding to last week. I think I got 60 or 70,000. I don't know. I bought a decent amount in them. I think ARKG, I think the genomics sector, it's just a matter of time. There was an interview. I didn't get to finish it. It had Mark Zuckerberg talking about AI and how it's going to be able to solve all kinds of problems, including medical, and it's going to help a ton in the biomed sector and genomics sector. So I'm very excited about that. I like it because, again, you're investing in like 20 plus companies. If a couple of them go crazy, you could do really well. And it looks like ARKG's up 3.1% in pre-market. I do like this too. Again, this is just a crazy amount of time that this thing's been this low since the all-time high. It is, we're sitting at about 1,700 plus days right now. We just broke. I'm not going to change this to green because every time I do that too early, it always goes underneath. I don't want to be superstitious, but I've just had so many problems with that. So again, you could just see though how this was, again, kind of resistance over here, broke above it for a sec, dropped down. Resistance, broke above, found support, also on the fib here, sitting right up here right now in pre-market. This just looks great. And if we get up here to the 37 range, I do great. If we got up to 48 for some reason, guys, or even into the 60 range, I would make so much fucking money, so many millions of dollars off my options contracts for ARKG. It's one of my higher conviction plays. Tomar said, what is your strategy to sell some of the closer ones on big pops and then buy further ones out on weakness? Yeah, kind of, right? If I believe that something's going to still do really well for a long period of time, I think like a year from now, it's going to be much better off. and the bet is asymmetric enough that I'm interested. The thing I love about this is, I mean, we're at the same price that this company was at in January of 2018. Well, I mean, fund is at January of 2018. And you can see what happened during irrational exuberance after the pandemic. We just started printing money again. Look what happened here. We went up 380% off of massive speculation. So I'm not calling for that to happen per se, but is it crazy? Like, let's look at this. If we measure all the way down from the bottom, would it be crazy to go up 175%, like half that number? I don't think so. Would it be crazy to go all the way up to the golden retracement zone, up 250%? I mean, that's only how much further than we are right now? That's only 112%. I get 10x that. With some of my contracts. I think probably on average, I'd have to look at the numbers today to be sure. It might be a little bit less now. Maybe it's 8 to 9x. But I get like 10x, I think. And if that's true, 112%, 10x that is going to be a very sweet number, considering I've got like $800,000 in contracts, maybe more. That's going to be that's $8 million if I can 10x it. You know what I mean? So like, I think this could be one of my biggest winners. And the thing I love about it is some of my contracts are all the way out in 2008. The earliest expiration I have is like January 15th, I think. So I've still got, the rest of November, December into January for that to play out, for it to just get up. And I think these are like $48 contracts, the January ones. That's just right here. I think this thing could actually scream if the markets really do take off. So, and those are my smallest contracts. Most of my contracts sit in June of 2026. And then I've got January of 2027 and then now January of 2028. So that's where a lot of the money is, the majority of it. So that's plenty of time, I think, for this thing to go up that much. Bitcoin looks like it's ready to head back to 110. I think so, man. Again, 110, 111, that's going to be the next test. And then we'll grind up against that for a bit and then look to go higher, I think. I'm going to probably need to hit the restroom in a second. So give me 1 second here. I might actually just have you guys listen to Kramer. Give me 2 seconds, okay?
Yeah, we did have that UMISH print on Friday, second lowest of all time. Also a discussion Friday, Jim, about how the market has not done as well as it usually does during a shutdown. Essentially flat.
Look, I was one of those guys that said, you know what, after shutdown, things are good. We've never really had this much rancor in Washington. And, David, my main misjudgment is the hatred everyone has toward the government right now and trying to find anybody to like. And, it's just about who you like less.
Yeah, I think that could be said many times, but certainly
now
at this time.
It's visceral. I mean, you look at those states where the Democrats are caving. I think those are states where those people could all lose their job. And you're never allowed to lose your job. It's the Senate, David. You don't quit. You don't get voted out of the Senate. Those are lifetime appointments, aren't they?
No, it's every 6 years, and there are some competitive,
only in Iowa.
Competitive races.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that this is
Charles
just,
Grassley. He has been in that.
I could run against anybody in this environment and win by saying, "Listen, I was there. I was at the airport."
Now you tell me, could you have run for mayor? It's a little late.
David, I wasn't saying anything about the city, but you couldn't.
No, I couldn't help myself. Well, meanwhile, though, that is one of the nicest combinations. Look how beautiful that is.
So, Mandami, you have to switch to close immediately.
25 minutes until the opening bell. Okay, here we are. Let's get back over here. I won't play this video, but I did think that there's something I wanted to talk to. It talked about how Trump ends up like fighting with Jimmy Kimmel, talking about how maybe that stuff's not legal, they should be arrested. Going on legacy media like 60 Minutes after suing them and winning them for editing videos, not to his benefit, and then kind of doing it again, but not like blatantly bad. He shouldn't be giving these guys any exposure at all. They're dying. There's some data that we'll look at here. I don't know if I have it in this bookmark, but it's actually the next one. It shows how legacy media is dying. If you look here, Forbes is down 52% for website traffic over the last year. From July of 2024 to July of 2025, Forbes has lost over half of its web traffic. CNN is down 34%. Fox News is down 25% in a year on their websites. MSN is down 17%. BBC is down 13%. New York Times is down 7%. CNBC is up 2%. Substack is up 47%. So you can just see how traditional forms of media are just dying off. They're getting replaced with people like me and people like Amit and just a bunch of others, right? It's becoming more of a social thing. And so you're going to see, he doesn't need to be giving legacy media exposure. He doesn't need to be fighting with Kimmel. It's doing nothing to help progress our movement. He needs to let the old stuff die. He needs to do interviews with Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, and the viewership is much higher when he does that. I don't have the actual data here, but it was just crazy how much better the viewership was if it was like, again, him interviewing with Elon or interviewing with Joe Rogan or whatever. Like all these people, it helped a lot. All right, let's skip this. Somali restaurant in Minneapolis took $12 million in federal child meal payments, claiming that they were feeding 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. They were really feeding about 40. So we imported a bunch of Somalis. They rigged the system to make sure that we kept importing them. They all live in one city and try to take control of it. And then they milk and pilfer from the government at a federal level, local levels, state level, all that. They just rape and pillage and take advantage. Not exactly ideal, right? Bringing a bunch of immigrants in that are literally here to just take. ASST is insider Vivek Ramaswamy bought 15,625 preferred shares for $1.25 million. When did he do that? I saw a post about that. I think it was recent, right? He actually has a bunch of shares too. I mean, he's a founder, so he's doing pretty well, I imagine. Jack put Democrats. Oh yeah, we already went over this one. Let's keep going. This is Mamdani. After his New York mayoral election win, he went to Puerto Rico and attended a mosque where their mom called October 7th a silver lining. He also stayed at the luxury resort with all of his people. But yeah, this person thinks October 7th was good, and this is where Mamdani's spending his time. Mamdani also, the governor, said she's not giving him money for free buses. So he's already kind of failing at his job. Should be fun. This is the rampant throughout African nations. What is? I mean, hatred towards Christians lately, or Islam. What are we talking about? I'm not sure. Friday. I don't know what that's about. Casbah, Jesse, how do you pick when to sell your leaps? I do it at targets. But timing can matter too. If the time is running out, and I made a video talking about options, the last part, you lose all the extrinsic value in the option, which is basically the time, the premium you're paying for the time. You lose all of that rapidly near the end, especially the last 90 days and less. That's why like 0-day options are just bullshit. 80 to 90% of people lose money on options. Why would you give yourself those odds? You want to give yourself a ton of time, right? Please give me advice on how to talk to my gym crush. I'm not that person. I don't know, man. I've been married for fucking ever. 20 years this year. So I'm not that person. Maybe somebody else can help out. President Trump lists things that could easily pass if the filibuster is eliminated. Voter ID, no mail-in voting, no cash bail, no men and women's sports, no welfare for illegals. Do it in the filibuster so we can do this. We need to have legitimate voting. We need to ensure this. We need the no cash bail thing. We need to keep people in jail. We need to force that. I don't like the men's and women's sports. That is a big deal. I mean, I'd probably care more if there was some dude in my daughter's sports like thing and she was, that would probably mean more to me personally. But right now it doesn't matter as much to me. No welfare for illegals, but like these things all just have to be done. The illegals, if we can pull the funding from all these different illegals and all the different ways that they're getting it, we can have them self-deport because they can't afford to live here and they don't want to be taken forcibly. So we should be doing all this, in my opinion. And there's a plan B. So I wanted to talk about this. So this post, it says he's calling tariffs a net benefit. But Trump did admit, and I don't have the actual post here with his words, but he did say that he's got like a plan B essentially if the Supreme Court does say that he doesn't have the power to tariff, which is stupid. I think in just a couple of his tweets, he's made really good arguments for why he should be able to do that. I think that's it for there. Let's go back here. What else we got? Is there anything for ASST? That's my latest chart. Again, I think it can go up to this gap up here, even in the $8 range. Could it go higher? I mean, Mike Alfred's saying it can go to 50. What time frame is that? I don't know. But if the market isn't falling apart at the end of the year, beginning of next, and it hasn't just had a major blow off top, I don't know. Just think maybe it'll just kind of keep going up for a while. Maybe everything will. It seems very possible. It seems like there's a couple of different realities that can happen. One of them is that we end up doing the money printing. Inflation isn't too bad, and jobs are still seen as tight, and the Fed is lowering rates, and Bessent's getting everything that he wants, and so is Trump. That's one reality. The other one is that it's a rockier road. Have you seen EOC? I have. I've been doing more research with it, and I've been listening to people like Jeff Lutz and a few others that I got turned on to. So I've been paying more attention to it for sure. It's run a lot. It went from 61 cents back in May 2024 to, what is it right now, $18.31. So it's done a good 25x. Can we all agree 50 mortgages in our... No, we can't at all. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I actually just talked about that earlier. 50-year mortgage at a lower interest rate, you're basically taking a loan and you're saying that you believe that the U.S. government could print a bunch of money in the future, and that you want to lock in a cheap payment on a house right now that, if they print a ton of money, could go up a lot in value, and your debt becomes inconsequential. And at the same time, you get more money per month that you could reinvest and turn in, like put it into Bitcoin and turn it into something else. I think it's dumb to say that it's not okay to have another option for people. Yeah. So anyway, that's my chart. That's what I think we can do. I think the .618 is in the sixes, and I think it can go up to the gap at the 850. Maybe it even goes higher. I don't know. It just all depends, right? It depends on, are we looking at a lot of really great stuff coming down the pipe over the next 2 to 3 months, or are we looking at a rockier road? It says more information about the board of Strive from September. So yeah, again, just throwing this on here. So you got a lot of people in here. You got Ben Workman. He's on that other one too. What is it? I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll try and find it. Anyway, it's another one I own. He's got Punter Jeff on here. Just got a bunch of different people. It gives you some of the initial, the pipes, and just a lot of the details that go along with it. So again, I've been posting more and more about this, that people know what's out there. And I will continue to. SQNS, thank you. Sequoians, yes. Drawing a blank. JC, the key is low interest rates. I agree. I think that's like the biggest thing that could happen right now, is to have rates go lower. Also, I've been seeing Matthew Schultz. What is your position on ASST? Do you have a good long call? I know I'm not doing any more leaps. I'm not doing 2Xs. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I don't want to try and time it. I would rather be in the underlying assets and see how they do. I told myself that I was going to reduce risk and reduce leverage. I said I was going to do that probably in like October, and now we're in November. So I'm doing that. And again, it allows me to lock in gains, limit my downside risk, and then these things could still do really well on the upside, and I could make a bunch of money. ASST, I think, can do a multiple of what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin doubles, I think it can 4x. That's my take on it. But yeah, Matthew Schultz. Tariff dividends in the government reopening on the horizon. Globally significant top 10 stack of Bitcoin. Thousands of acres, thousands of megawatts. Buckle up, CleanSpark. So he seems to, this is 22 hours ago, he seems to be really pushing his company a lot. You also have Matt reposting this. It says, JP Morgan increases their stake in CleanSpark by 62.77%, now worth 8.8 million shares long. Also 1.8 million of call options and 0 put options. I guess they're bullish on Matthew Schultz and the team. That was on the 8th. Probably nothing, says Matthew Schultz. Thank goodness we're sitting on 1 gigawatt of active power and 2 gigawatt on current pipeline. So Ben says, from chief data center architect at Microsoft, I don't think you can overbuild data center capacity. I don't think we're going to be at a tipping point of overbuilding until 2029 or 2030. So you're seeing a lot of pumping and a lot of positivity coming out of Matthew Schultz. And then again, you're also seeing off exchange, a lot of trading, and then a lot of short interest as well. 33% almost right there. And then you got Mike Alfred on the 5th saying, we have similar friends to Matthew Schultz. Again, just all good things. These guys went out together, eat together. You've got Matthew Schultz on November 5th showing how he's hanging out here at the NVIDIA location. That's an NVIDIA symbol in the back with a team. I mean, this is definitely a part of his team. So, I don't know. These are interesting things that we're seeing. They're interesting things that we're seeing, that 50% increase to a $30 price target. I think these guys are going to see 30. What I'm hoping is that the price just screams higher in the next week and a half so I can get some more money out of my options contracts, because I only cashed out like, I think, $1 million or maybe a little more. So I'd like to get more to make up for that. Thoughts on Chanos unwinding his MSTR hedge? I think he was smart. He actually played that really well. I was giving him shit, but he did a good job. I think you overshot the range. So let me just show you what I mean here. So you had the dump. You got down here almost to this other range, but you dropped a lot. I mean, how far did MSTR drop? It dropped like almost 60% from where it was in the high on November 18th. That's a lot for something this big, and that's this reputable, I should say, too. It's been around a long time, sitting at 69 billion now, back above the 100. It just, Bitcoin looked like it was finding support. And since this is overshot to the downside, now you have this wedge that could break out and go higher. And who knows? I mean, maybe we still go to 837 on this bitch. If that happens, a lot of these other things are going to do really good. AST is pulling back a little bit. It's at 5.3%. I think that's pretty good. It's up almost 10% in 2 days. I think I'm okay with that. Plus, it's probably going to see volume when the market opens. Chanos won that trade. He did a great job. And he's like, he can be such an idiot. He was short Tesla forever. It bankrupted his fund. MB said, Jesse, do you think that we sell into the open? I don't know. We could. That can happen. You pump a little bit over the weekend and then you sell off into the open. I could see that happen. And then kind of go up again later. Yeah, we could see something like that. That's probably the healthiest from a technical perspective would be to do that. Bitcoin Surfer, I didn't notice it before, but you could grow an awesome handlebar mustache. I probably could. I don't think I ever will. Matt, I don't know which one that is. Michael Roberts said Schultz insinuating AI deal for CleanSpark. If that happens, that would... Oh, I agree. It would go fucking ape shit. I agree. It would go up a lot. I'm probably going to start deleveraging, so we'll see how many shares I have by that time that happens. If they did announce a deal like that and it went up like 20% in a day or something at that time, I'd probably bail. But yeah, it's looking real good. I still love ArcG here too, man. It just looks so nice, dude. Let's look at some other stuff real quick. So CNN Fear and Greed. How are we sitting on this? Extreme fear. That's probably a good thing. We've been here for a while. So we've been grinding in this range, right? We were extreme fear over here too on the 16th. It could be worse, but I think April was tariff worries. We've got so many things. This has kind of been like a cascade down. Not maybe as straight lined as this one, more of a like a rollover. But again, I think we've reached the bottom on this one. There's just too many good things coming. What's with DFDV warrants? I don't know. I haven't been invested in a while and I haven't looked. Sawyer, that Archie trend line retest looks beautiful. It does, right? It's like literally, let me go back. Where's Archie here? It's one of the most beautiful things. It's one of the most beautiful. This is such like a stereotypical investment cycle. You got this build up, you find a new base, you go up. Even though this time, though, I would argue the grind has been just so long, over almost 1,800 days now. So many years have passed since this thing was at an all-time high. If we see real positivity, 800 MSTR and you can retire, Awesome steak and eggs. I hope you get it. Kirby Tax. Tom Lee is still thinking 180 to 200 BTC for this year. I'd love to see it. I would love to see a melt up. It should start right fucking now. Right fucking now. 850Z. RK sold Tesla shares. Yeah, I could see that. They probably did that just to buy other things to turn a little more risk on, because Tesla's like the slow builder. What is Tesla doing? It's up 2% in pre-market. That's pretty good. I've got more Tesla too. I bought 180,000 worth, 420 shares additional, I think, over this last weekend. I don't know if I'll flip that to something else. I might. If TLT drops a decent amount, TLT is down 0.2% in pre-market. Depending on how those contracts, I've got like 3 different ones now. I'll keep an eye on them, and I might buy some more TLT and sacrifice a little bit of my Tesla for that. And maybe if there's something else, I don't know. I don't want to sacrifice too much, but I might use my Tesla as cash like I normally do, since I'm around $1 million right now. I think 950,000 or something in Tesla. I might use a little bit of that for cash since I've been adding to it. But Tesla Leaps, but so expensive. I wouldn't buy Leaps, dude. It's just like you don't, with Leaps, again, and this is part of the reason why I've been kind of hesitant to buy more. When things are up 1,000%, 2,000%, I don't want to buy Leaps. And just over here, I mean, for Tesla, again, Tesla's a $1.4 trillion company. It's huge. It was at 214, and it has gotten recently as high as 473. So again, if you just, and that was over on April 25. If you go all the way back here to the big drop in April of 2024, this thing was $138. And so you've done really, really well from that time, May of 2024, to now, November of 2025, right? So that's a year and a half. If you bought 2-year Leaps, you did really well. If you were really smart, you sold them up over here, which I think I did, but I bought in too quickly later on in this drop, and boy, was it a drop. But down here, if you got Leaps at the 215 range, you've done really well. This thing's doubled. You've probably done like maybe you got 3x that number or 4x that number. So you've done really, really well. You buy on things like this is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? You buy when the RSI for Tesla on the daily time frame is like 20. It's deep into the oversold, or more ideally on the weekly, right over here. Again, that's where we have this bottom right here. You buy when it's in the 200s and it's just cascaded lower, and it's got a higher low all the way up the RSI. It's consolidated at 35 near oversold territory. That's when you take on Leaps for Tesla. Okay, that's how. All right, not a lot of non-members talking here. Leaps are only cheap after a huge drop-off. Exactly, that's the time where you accumulate. It's always on the sell-off. Leaps get really butchered, especially on a cascading one. I mean, look at this, guys. We went from 480s in Tesla when it was very overbought. Again, using the overbought on the weekly time frame is so good. It was a 78. Could it have went higher? Sure, but it had done a good job. And then it just rolled over into the abyss. We went from 480 all the way down to 215. When you're down 50% over what time frame was that? December to March. So that's crazy. 3 months, basically a quarter, Tesla shaved off 50%. This was the time to buy calls. Right here. Wish I would have, actually. I didn't do it because I was trying to be conservative with part of my portfolio. That would have been the one to not be conservative with. It should have been the other part with Bitcoin I was conservative with, I guess. It's weird how things work sometimes. Nomad, what potential upward move for small biomed companies as the first drug approved in both NDA and FDA approval? Talking about RV, it all depends, man. I don't know if there's a good example. I don't know RVPH a lot. I think that might be one that's an ARC. Is that an ARC? Let me make a copy. What was it, RVPH? Is that what it was? So many comments here. I'm trying to find that one again. They do not. Yeah, RVPH. All right. They don't stick out as well when you're not a member. Yeah. Anyway, let's go over here. RVPH. Let me just see what the chart looks like. Revive Pharmaceuticals. See, this could just be burning so much money. It's hard to know. These things rocket like crazy. That's why, like, again, ARCG has like 25 different companies. If one of them makes a genomic breakthrough of some kind, then they make a fortune. Why is that? Well, let's just look at this company. I don't know this company. I'm going to take this off real quick so I can sign in. 1 second. Let me do that. What is going on? There we go. Sorry, I'm not showing it. I just wanted to get... it's got my email address on there. My private one. RVPH. All right, Revivo. So let's look at how their funding is going. Not great. So what does it look like? The stock does exponentially better because they have no revenue. They're bleeding money every quarter, right? Their net income was negative $6 million. Their cash pile is getting low. They have to dilute shares just to survive. And if you look at cash flow over here, it's all negative, right? 5 million. It's gotten a little better from this peak, but 5 million negative cash flow. So these aren't real companies. But if all of a sudden one of them out of the list, because again, they're so undervalued, if there's all of a sudden big genomic breakthroughs or some kind of developmental breakthroughs, and one or two of the companies that ArcG has out there does really well, the stock the fund can double. Because they go from not making anything at all to making a bunch of money to being profitable, and it just looks hella better. That's why I like the fund, though, because I'd rather ride that fund than have to pick which out of the 20, 25 in the list are going to do well. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem worth it to me. I don't want to know that much about genomics and medicine to be the perfect investor in that space. I'd rather just have this fund, and I know what ARK and I know what these other things can do when people get excited. This one isn't in there? Okay. But again, there's like 20-something plus. So that's kind of what I think. And I don't know if there's another good biomed fund out there. If you guys know of one, definitely let me know. I could do some research. I'll see if I can find something on my own too. Steak and eggs. If I know it's hella unlikely that Tesla goes back to 250, I'm loading the truck with Leaps. Yeah, if it did that, I would sell my stock and convert to Leaps. 100%. You can just ride that train all the time. That's what I did, right? I did that with Tesla hugely. You guys know that. For anybody who's been around a long time, I have done a really good job on Tesla. Tesla was one of the things. The only time I didn't do a good job on Tesla is when I sold too early over here, from when Tesla was down, before pre-split to $12, and then it went all the way up to 400-ish. I didn't catch that whole 3,300% because I did too well with my Leaps and I sold out way too early. I just didn't realize just how quickly the messaging would change. But now we know, right? We can see the difference here. We can see the difference here, and we're at a breakout again. So now I've got some history to know that the valuation can change dramatically, especially if they're firing on all cylinders. If they're building out a chip fab and stuff, it could get really crazy. 2 minutes till the bell, so we're probably ringing right now. Hey, you know what? We could do this. We haven't done this in a while. 50
Close it
seconds.
out, then I think people say, wait a second, maybe it's okay to take down debt. And if he doesn't...
No, I don't have render or any of that. I'm just not doing shit coins right now. They could all end up doing really well. It's just not my thing right now. I'm trying to be really conservative.
LOEs, he meant loss of exclusivity.
Looks like this is a little
similar
delayed.
situation with Michael. This one has to work because people feel he's taking down too much debt. Maybe he's over his skis. I don't think so.
A lot of it comes back to the depreciation of GPUs.
Exactly.
Which we can have a debate about for I don't know how long. Is it 5 years?
Looking around here, everything seems to be up. Smarter Web up 15%. Let's get full round.
10, I don't know.
TLT's only down 0.09. Strive is up almost 5%. SoFi is up 3%.
And he's got to put a tie on.
Our ARGT, the Argentinian fund, is up 2.7. Palantir is up 3.5.
Let's get the opening bell here in the CNBC Real-Time Exchange. At the big vault, it's
Mars
Italian
up
energy company
3.9,
ENI
Ireland's up
celebrating
5.
its 30th anniversary. At the
Sector's up
Nasdaq
4.
Extreme Networks, an AI-powered cloud networking provider.
See if the heat
As
map.
Brett is pretty even here, Jim, trying to get back to 6,800.
I would have thought it would be much more because
I'm going to kill those guys real quick. We'll look over. Where did I put this? Right there. Heat map. Okay, so let's see. It's not quite updated yet. We'll look at what the pre-market was heading into it. So a pretty green day, actually. We'll see what that translates to on the daily once we refresh here. Should be coming up in a second. Let me refresh here. And yeah, so I don't think it would be crazy. Somebody asked earlier if we sold off a little bit in the morning and then went up later. That could happen. So far, looking pretty green, though. And I think the market's going to do well. I think once we get confirmation today, guys, probably later in the day, that the Senate is going to pass the reopening, I think that's when we really take off. RH says ArcG has the best genomics research. I think CRISPR is most important to watch as underlying if we go up. NTLA, I know the NTLA had a lawsuit, or not a lawsuit, but an 80-year-old patient had died. Probably shouldn't have even been in the group because they weren't the one that could benefit the most, and it was probably higher risk than what they were looking for. But so that hurt them a little bit over the short term. Beam, I don't know as much about, but you're right. There's a bunch. Those were huge names when everybody was talking genomics. Sawyer, do you think markets do anything weird with the holiday tomorrow? I don't know. There's always the markets can do all kinds of weird things. I think that the opening is going to be the bottom. I mean, I think that's it. I think people are looking to speculate. Again, CleanSpark's up over 5 now. Mara's up over 4. SoFi's up over 3. Strive is up almost 5. Smarter Web Company's up 15. Metaplanet is up 2. So just a little bit. Tesla's up almost 3, 2.5%. I don't know. Markets look like they want to bounce. That's my take. I think that's it for me today, too, guys. Is market closed tomorrow? I don't even know. That's a good question, actually. Is the stock market closed tomorrow? Let's find out. Is not closed tomorrow. No, the U.S. stock market is not closed. Both the NYSE. Early closures in November are November 28th, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, closing at 1 p.m. So no, they're not. Anyway, though, I think that's probably it for me today, guys. I think we're going to get some reprieve this week. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. I hope CleanSpark just really fucking skyrockets because I'd like to be able to get back in the black in a good way on that and convert it to something else. Was Zcash mentioned? Just got on, and I'm going to go back. No, Zcash was not. I didn't look at it. I'm really not paying much attention to shitcoins anymore. I don't know if it's done really well since the last time I looked at it. Let me see here. I do have my old chart from way back in the day. What is it? 612. It went all the way up to 700. This is just ridiculous. Crazy for the people that own it, though. Congratulations. Going from 50 to 600, like 300%. 400% gains here for some people. Even higher. Yeah. All right. I think I'm done. Iron's up 8 now. Yeah, it looks like the whole market's starting to drift up a little bit. That's great. Cypher's up 4.25. Bitfarms is up 5. I think it's going to be a good day, guys. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you make a lot of money today. I hope it bounces back and relieves some of the pain that people have been feeling. And I will talk to you guys on Wednesday, okay? Peace out. I will talk to you later. Bye.